AWP research helps me focus on the future rather than the past, because I've had CBT, for example. I don't like to dwell on the past where things have gone wrong. I want to be focused on the future, and research by its nature is focused on the future, and so it helps with my aims for the future, for actually developing my career, also my social skills, so that I can be, I have reactive depression. If I have a better life, then the depression reacts less. So my mental health will improve, and already is improving.
A very wise older friend of mine who's a retired social worker sent me an email a year or so ago and said, "You are not the person you were, you are different now, you are stronger." I feel largely that I've been given back to myself, and I feel partly that it's the result of surviving adversity. I think a lot of people who go into this work, have been through stuff that's knocked their life for six, and they're trying to find a way forward. They're also trying to find a way to kind of make sense of what's happened to them, and recover something to give back to others, to help others, and all those things I have experienced, and that in itself is really empowering.
I think it confirmed some of my knowledge. It helped me to become more aware, and I really felt privileged to actually be involved, as though maybe I learned from it, and I also felt maybe some of my experiences in that maybe helped. And when I was talking to the carers in particular in their own homes, which is quite a privileged place to be, I was able to listen to what they were saying and share my experiences with them, which was really, I got a lot from that.
I think adversity has made me stronger, and if I can share some of these ideas and feelings that I've got, and my passion that carers will have a voice, that's what I can do really. And I've managed to do that. In the nurses in training have now got to include carers in their paperwork, so they've got to go and find out what the carers think. What could be more important?
It's raised my confidence, and it's raised my ability to actually feel that I can actually tell people what it's like for carers, because I've spent most of my life in a caring role with no support whatsoever, and actually now that is beginning to change. I provide a support group specifically for carers of people with mental health issues to actually give some support, because I feel it's severely lacking. And carers are a very valuable commodity. At the end of the day, if you don't have input from a carer, or a patient doesn't have a carer, that costs the NHS and the mental health services an absolute fortune to provide that support. So we are a very valuable commodity.
It kind of makes me feel part of something, pretty confident actually, because at first obviously it's quite nerve-wracking, meeting new people, asking them questions. Yeah, it gives you that sort of confidence and sort of self-worth, I suppose.
It helps me know that I've had obstacles that I've overcome, which I've engaged in certain services and certain people, and I've come across, overcome certain things within myself, and other people have had good fonts of knowledge for me to say to me, and it's about me having to take that and apply that and put it into my life, and then knowing that there's people with all sorts of walks, like having the same sort of issues on a lower level maybe, but we can implement interventions into the system which help them better sustain and get stability within their life and continuity. So they're able to have more of a productive lifestyle, as I've created a lifestyle for myself within all their relationships and so forth.
Yeah, for me it was a great chance to kind of self-reflect on my condition, what I've been diagnosed with. It's sort of, it's also to get a message out there that to all people who suffer from a similar condition, that that they can be managed and they can be understood, the actual condition of schizophrenia.
Well, there was very little inspiration because I just saw an A3 sheet of paper on the door of the local mental health unit, and I thought, yeah, that could be I could help out there. So that's where the inspiration comes. This is A3 sheet paper, basically. Well, I believe I made some gains by learning about myself and learning how I could help others, maybe to an extent. No, it wasn't what I thought, because I never had much idea about what was going to go on. So it was all new to me and a surprise. But it went really well. I thought the way it was developed and delivered by the doctor was all good stuff. And it helped. I hope I have helped other people.
Well, I would encourage people to take part in research. I think whether you're taking part as a participant or as somebody who's involved with academics trying to make studies work well, we don't have to have an understanding of the science or the clinical issues necessarily, but what we bring that researchers don't have is the personal experience, and that's that's the important additional contribution to understand when you're planning a study what it will mean for people to take part. And we can understand, I can put myself still in the position of somebody who might be being asked questions in a research project and think how that would feel to me. So I can think about the research process from a different perspective and share my personal views about that. Obviously people will have different views, but nonetheless we can bring a different patient service user perspective to clinical academic studies of all kinds.
Number one, it's a far better understanding of the problem itself. It's being taken through all the elements and the effects it has. And some of the research is involved being with other people, and by being with other people you learn from them as well. So you're all in the same boat together. Some are at the front and some are at the back, if you like. But you're learning all the time, and that's what it's about. One of my favourite words is choice. You have a choice in how you get involved or whether you go or not. And we found it really successful, haven't we?
We have.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes, very much so. You've benefited a lot.
Well, I think we both have.
Well, we have both had.
We get a bit of togetherness out of it, don't we?
Well, having a mental illness means that you have to go through quite a lot of difficult periods in your life, and it's going to be quite upsetting and quite difficult to deal with. So when you get to a place where you're reasonably stable, it's nice to be able to use those experiences and to into a positive way. So just collecting up all this sort of knowledge from people who've had these experiences means that people in the future will be able to deal with the illnesses a bit easier than what we've had to deal with. And being part of that makes you feel good.
Well, I think from my point of view, it's first of all knowing that something's being done, and giving me confidence that hopefully one day something will be found to help my wife with a memory problem, and hopefully if something is found to stop the memory problem or improve it, that perhaps we will be first in the queue to have the medication, or for my wife to have the medication, perhaps before it's licensed.
The sort of time frame I've got at the moment, and also that time frame has varied from me having 2 years before I'll need care to maybe 10, if I'm lucky 15 years before I need care. If If it's 2 years, I'm going to be 57. If it's 10 years, I'm going to be 65. Hopefully, I should have many more years beyond 65. So, being involved in research, anything that can do to help me have a good quality of life beyond the immediate future at the moment. And just so my husband doesn't have to go through what he's going to have to go through in a few years' time, I would do anything to avoid putting him through that horrible disease. And I think it's worse for the carer than it possibly is for the person. I don't really know, but so yeah, I would grab any opportunity I could to get involved with research and to help the researchers.
I truly believe that as a filmmaker, but also someone who has had issues with my own mental health in the past, what it does is just simple. It gives me that experience. So when I'm with someone, you know, whether it's someone who has problems with their own mental health, or someone who's interested in participating in research, you know, there is an identification which takes place. And so when I kind of merge that with my skills as a filmmaker, but also someone who in the past had problems with their own mental health, there seems to be an understanding. There's an understanding of what's going on, and for me as someone who interviews, then it's as if doors open within a person. Because they know, the interviewee knows that this guy knows what I'm talking about because he's been there, so I'll just open up to him. And over the past year working with AWP R&D, that tends to be the case.
Sometimes as a clinician I can feel that research is a bit of an imposition or can get in the way. As a researcher I'm always focused on what the research question is and trying to get the answer. But it's really important, I'm really pleased to hear from people about their first-hand experiences of doing research. And it's always very similar. It's that they enjoy taking part, that they find out about new things, new treatments, new information about their condition, that they feel empowered by it. It's a choice, they don't have to do it, so they decide to take part and that feels good. They often want to contribute to other people's future well-being, and for them it can give them a sense of hope that something new might be discovered to help their problems.
It's a wonderful opportunity, and the people I've been working with I've got the greatest admiration for. They're only ordinary people, but they have a passion, and that's what their research is all about.
I would say go for it because it's really interesting, and it is very satisfying, but also you get supported, and I think that's really important.
I say give it your best shot. Give it your best shot. And go for it. Nothing could be. You can't be hurt by it, and you can gain by it. Definitely gain by it. That's what I'd say.
It is very, very exciting. It's very dynamic. It's forward thinking, and it shows. And that's why I get a lot from working with this team, and it's absolutely fascinating as well, because you know what this team is doing is this team is pushing forward in research to actually find answers, and probably for me I get a lot from that myself, because as an interviewer I'm looking for answers. So the team is dynamic, the team is young, the team is probably one of the best that I've worked with within AWP.
And I would recommend anyone, if they're given the opportunity to get involved in research, to go for it.